Hello FPL players, welcome back to another team selection video for Game Week 15. For today's video, I'm gonna go through my Game Week 14 review, followed by my team selection for Game Week 15 too. If you like my content, do consider giving me a thumbs up and also subscribe to this channel if you're new around here. It will massively help out this channel to grow too. As we head into the last two game week before the World Cup, we can afford to take a little bit more risk when it comes to our transfer. This is an opportunity for FPL players to go for the more risky players for 1 or 2 week punt too. Before I talk about my team selection for Game Week 15, let me review my Game Week 14 score first. So my Game Week 14 scores and results ended at 65 points, and with a red arrow which pulls me down my rank to around 52k. I have mixed feeling around this game week. Obviously, I did not see it coming that for Aston Villa to lose 4-0 to Newcastle, and I also did not expect Callum Wilson to score 2 and assist 2. When I look at Wilson, he doesn't seem to be the kind of footballer who is going to get a praise in attacking returns. So it's a bit unusual that he got 4 attacking returns in one single game week. It's just quite bizarre, to be honest. And I cannot believe how poor Darwin Núñez is against Leeds. We know Leeds has been conceding so many big chances this season, and against an attacking force like Liverpool that should logically be conceding more than 1 goal. And then when we look at Man City game without Haaland playing, they only scored 1 goal, and it was from a free kick from De Bruyne. I know Leicester has been defending really well in that game, and most of the time Man City struggled to break down their defensive shape. So this match could have ended 0-0 or even possibly a 1-0 win for Leicester if only Harvey Barnes have taken his chances in the first half. Elsewhere, you also see Arsenal scoring 5 goals against Forest. So Zaha actually assists Martinelli for the first goal, and I have 1 goal and 1 assist, and then Zaha got injured and came off in the 26th minute, and he was replaced by Reiss Nelson, who then scored twice and assist once. So I can't help but think that those points that Reiss Nelson got, it could have been Zaha points. You know, it could have been Zaha. Zaha could have gotten 2 goals and 2 assists if only he stayed on the pitch. So I can't help but feel just a little bit disappointed by that fact. And elsewhere, you also have Zaha, who just continue to be so disappointing as usual, and I'm almost on the verge of transferring it out because I'm really, like many FPL players, starting to lose a bit of patience with Zaha. And that sums up my Game Week 14 results, and we shall move on to Game Week 15 team selection. So for Game Week 15, we have just 1 free transfer and we have no money in the bank. We have 0 money in the bank. And so if I want to upgrade some players, I couldn't do it because I have no money. And I could only go for players that has either the same price or lower price than my other players. And we are only 2 game weeks away from the World Cup, so there's really no holding back here. If I feel that the player, is off form, or, I feel that in this 2 weeks there's a better player, better options, or perhaps a more risky ones, I'm going for that player. I will be doing a transfer this game week. The only problem is there's just not a lot of options here for me. So let's start with my team selection. First up, in my goal, we have Nick Pope. Now, obviously, Southampton is not the team to beat Newcastle now. Newcastle has been absolutely on fire and on form for the past few game weeks now. It's difficult to see that Southampton is going to get any sort of results against Newcastle. But I don't foresee this match to have a lot of goals too. I think it will be a low scoring goals match, and Southampton isn't conceding a lot because for the past few game weeks they have been conceding averagely just 1 goal per game. So I think it makes sense to go with Newcastle goalkeeper and defender for this game week. And this is also the reason why Trippier was start in this game week. With Trippier, it's not just the likelihood of clean sheet points, but we also are looking at some attacking returns from him too. This could also be the kind of match that Trippier could potentially be getting a double pointer returns Up next in my defense, we have Cody. Now, in terms of Cody, to be honest, I'm not confident in this pick here because Everton is playing against a Leicester side who does have some decent, good attacking players. Players like Maddison, Harvey Barnes, and Patson Daka. With such quality attacking players, it would be difficult to keep a clean sheet for Cody. But on the flip side, I think Everton defense has been doing pretty good so far this season. They have never conceded more than 2 goals in a single game this season. And the next match is an Everton home game, so there's going to be some advantage for Everton defenders here. And Cody has just gotten 2 clean sheet points in the last 2 games, so he might just make it 3 times in a row, right? Up next in defense, we have Cancelo. In terms of Cancelo, now in the Champions League game against Sevilla, Cancelo did not start the game and he was benched. He only came on in the 85th minutes, I think. Now Pep Guardiola intention has been pretty clear here. He wants to rest Cancelo for the Fulham match. So Cancelo will definitely start against Fulham and he will be rested and ready to go. He may not get his clean sheet points against Fulham and Mitrović, but if he's well rested, there's a good chance that he's going to get some attacking returns and get some points. So in my midfield, my first pick will be Zaha. Now in terms of Zaha, he was substituted early in the first half due to injuries, but for the last 2 days, we see that Zaha has been pictured training with the squad and Arteta has been quite positive with the situation so far. So Zaha is going to start against Chelsea for sure. And Zaha is an important person in the Arsenal team right now. And against Chelsea in this big match, Arteta is going to need all his firepower available to him. Players like Zaha, Martinelli, Odegaard, and Jesus, all these players has to start if they want to stand a chance against this Chelsea side. So if the injury is not serious to Zaha, I think there's no reason for Arteta to rest Zaha too. Now obviously Zaha is also taking penalty, which is a good thing because we will always have this additional factor, additional bonus that may bring us more FPL points too. Up next in my midfield with Kevin De Bruyne. Now in terms of De Bruyne, against a team like Fulham who has been conceding a lot of goals, there's a good chance that if Man City were to score a few goals, 1 or 2 goals may go to quality and world-class players like De Bruyne. Now against a Leicester team that put 11 men behind the ball last game week to defend, we saw the quality of De Bruyne as a footballer when he curling that beautiful free kick into the net. So against a Fulham side that loves to attack, there's going to be space behind Fulham's half to be exploited, and De Bruyne has been really consistent so far this season too. So there's a possibility that De Bruyne is going to get more assists here in this game. And up next in my midfield, we have Martinelli. Now in terms of Martinelli, he is facing Chelsea, and Chelsea is facing some serious injury crisis right now with both Reece James and Chilwell both injured now. They are lacking a bit of quality at the left and the right wing back. So this could be an opportunity for Arsenal, and this could be the type of game that players like Zaha and Martinelli, who plays on the left and right side of the defenders, may do well actually in this game. And also Chelsea has been really poor for the last game against Brighton, so there's a high possibility that Chelsea may concede a few goals against Arsenal too. Up next we have Zaha in my midfield. Now I have to be honest with you that Zaha form has been really poor for the last few game weeks. In fact, Zaha only has 1 goal and 1 assist in the last 7 games, and he's going to face a West Ham team that did well defensively against a strong team like Manchester United. So it's going to be a difficult game for both Crystal Palace and Zaha, and I think Crystal Palace may have some difficulty scoring against West Ham too. And looking at the way Zaha is playing, I'm not even sure that he's going to get anything against Forest in game week 16. So I look at my midfield, if you have to sacrifice someone from my midfield, it's going to be Zaha because of his poor form and his mid-range price tag. And Zaha is going to play both fixture in game week 15 and 16 away from home too. So there's every chance that Zaha is going to blank in these 2 game weeks. And we move up up to my forward line, we have Darwin Núñez. Now, in terms of Darwin Núñez, I know Darwin has been very disappointing in the last game against Forest. It's a home game that Liverpool should have won, and in that home game, Darwin Núñez should have scored too. And but as we look at Darwin Núñez, his form has been a little bit weird now, because he has been doing very well in the last 2 Champions League games. He has got 1 goal for each game, which is quite consistent, I would say. So he's just got back to full fitness where he's able to play 90 minutes on the pitch. And we look at this Spurs team whose form can be really inconsistent. Against Marseille in the Champions League, that only came to life in the second half. It was the same situation against Bournemouth, where they came to life in the second half and scoring 3 goals in a comeback victory. So if a team like Bournemouth is able to get 2 goals against Spurs, then for sure, right? I mean, for sure that Liverpool will score some goals against Spurs, right? I mean, even if it's a home game for Spurs, I think there is very little chance that Liverpool attack will blank in this game against Tottenham. So I think Darwin Núñez could actually be a decent pick this game week too. Up next in my forward line, we have Haaland. Now, Pep has mentioned in his Champions League press conference that Haaland is feeling much better, that he feels that it doesn't make sense for him to start against Sevilla, because Man City has already gone through to the round 16 in the Champions League. Pep also mentioned that there is a possibility that he may come back for that Fulham game. So I look at the situation like this. I mean, the tone and the outlook that Pep has given us looks quite positive in this press conference. So I think there's a decent chance that Haaland may start against Fulham too. And if Haaland really starts, the chances of him scoring against Fulham is pretty high, given the fact that Fulham is an attacking team that likes to leave space behind for forwards like Haaland to attack. So under no circumstances would I be benching Haaland this game week, because he would definitely be starting in my team for this game week, because the risk of not having him is just too much to handle. And last in my forward line, we have Mitrović. Now, in terms of Mitrović, there is a chance that Mitrović may blank in these next 2 game weeks, because the next 2 game weeks is against Manchester City and Manchester United. I think these 2 fixtures will be a real test to Fulham as a team. As we saw Mitrović score against some bigger teams like Liverpool, Arsenal and Spurs in this season so far. Hopefully in these 2 games he can get something there. And in my bench we have Ward, Nico Williams, Johnny and Andrews. Now Ward is playing against an Everton team who has the likes of Iwobi, Anthony Gordon and DCL, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and compared Everton to Southampton, I think Southampton looks to be a weaker team in attack right now, and this is why I chose Pope over Ward in this game week. Elsewhere, you have Nico Williams. In terms of Nico Williams, you only see, we are just looking at clean sheet here because his attacking return has been poor this season. He only got 1 single assist so far in this season. So I think Brentford isn't too bad in their attacking force too. They may actually score against Forest, who got trashed by Arsenal in the last game weeks. And Johnny Minutes on the pitch has been inconsistent, and he plays against Brighton, which is a difficult game. And of course we have Andrews, who plays Man City, which is also another difficult game too. Now, when it comes to transfer, there's not a lot of options here for me. The only potential options, the only potential players that I'm considering removing are 2 players. The first one is Zaha, the second one is Mitrović. Now, in terms of Zaha, it is a case of poor form, and in terms of Mitrović, it's a case of 2 difficult fixtures in Man U and Man City, and I couldn't switch out and upgrade my players too because I don't have the funds to do it. So, for example, if I want to switch Mitrović to Callum Wilson, I couldn't do it because Wilson is much more expensive than Mitrović, and I just don't have the funds to do it. So the only players that I can touch is probably only Zaha, and he's around 7 million plus. And if I want to bring him in some mid-range price players to replace Zaha, I could do so in this scenario. So I think the most sensible option is to transfer Zaha out for a player like Almiron or Trossard. I think between these two, I kind of prefer Trossard more. I think Brighton fixture looks pretty good and better here. They play Wolves away and Aston Villa at home, and Newcastle plays Southampton away and Chelsea at home. So it's one home game and one away game for both players. But I could argue that Wolves fixture is actually a much better fixture when we compare it to Southampton. I think Wolves is a weaker team here. So if we look at game week 16, Chelsea is obviously much more stronger than Aston Villa too. So in terms of fixture, I think Trossard has the better ones. And in terms of form, although Almiron has been scoring in almost every game in the past few game weeks now, Trossard isn't bad either. He has scored 1 goal in each match for the past 2 game weeks too. So now the question is, do you believe that Almiron is going to continue his form, or do you feel that Trossard, given his good fixture, may actually get some decent attacking returns and points here? There's no right and wrong answer here, but I think in terms of preference and fixture, I kind of prefer Trossard a little bit more. And for the captain armband, I'm putting it on Haaland, because if he is playing in the match against Fulham, there's a very high chance that he will score, especially against a Fulham side who has not been doing so well defensively. And for vice captain, I'm putting it on De Bruyne, just in case Haaland did not play in this game week. I think De Bruyne is on form and he's been really consistent in this season so far. So there's every chance that he will be walking away with a goal or an assist in this game. So this is my team selection for game week 15. Feel free to connect with me in the comment section down below. I'll try to respond to your comments too. Leave a like, subscribe to my channel for future FPL content too. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one.